Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Laurel Felt. I'm at the University of Southern California, and I'd like to tell you a story about when I was 18 and began studying a subject that would change my life. These studies did not occur in the classroom, tragic when you consider that college don't come cheap, but I'm here to tell you how these studies can occur in yours. I joined an improv troupe. You see me? Yes. I submit that improvising with your students can help you to create the culture and to practice the processes that facilitate 21st century learning. First, a little background about improv. Its roots are in social work. Around the turn of the century, a social worker in Chicago named Neva Boyd collected all these folk games from around the world, and she created a set of theater games to help immigrant children from diverse backgrounds communicate with each other, establish trust and self-confidence, and build community. Her protege, Viola Spolin, expanded on these games, and Spolin's son, Paul Sills, took the games, founded the Second City. So that is why improv games can help you to cultivate 21st century learning, because they were intentionally designed to do so, to help these people to build something bigger together. The number one rule of improv, yes and. Can I get a yes and? Yes and. Yes means yes, I will accept your idea, and means I will expand upon it. By playing these games, improvisers learn to listen deeply and appreciatively, to take on another perspective, to take risks, and to trust. And these are the steel girders that underlie our wacky silliness. So a couple of years ago, I'm working on my PhD, and I'm studying these out-of-school learning programs. And they're all about media literacy and play and 21st century learning in one way or another. And what I'm interested in finding out about is how to create the conditions for learning, how to set students up for rich and meaningful experiences that really make a difference. Education is not the filling of a pail, it is the lighting of a fire. So how do we get there? I theorized that culture makes a difference. The norms and the values and the energy that circumscribe and animate a learning space. So I looked at 4 cultural elements. I looked at safety, connection, engagement, and empowerment. I theorized that pedagogical processes also make a difference. So how students go about accessing and creating knowledge. And I looked at 3 processes, all with P's. I looked at playfulness, where joy meets iteration. I looked at pluralism, which is about shared decision-making. And I looked at participatory learning, which is a process in which students enter a space avidly. They explore, they experiment, they exchange support, and ultimately transform. And in terms of outcomes, I looked at 2 21st century learning domains. New media literacies, which are about reading, writing, and thinking with new media in a participatory culture, and social and emotional learning competencies, which are about thriving intrapersonally and interpersonally. And in the end, I found some support for my ideas that there was a positive relationship when spaces are safe and they're connected and they're engaging and empowering, and learners learn through modes that are playful and pluralistic and participatory, then they tend to demonstrate 21st century skills. But I'm kind of practical, and I wondered how. How do we get people to establish this culture that sounds great in theory but might be hard to make? What kinds of activities can we give so that students are laughing and tinkering and leading and growing? Improv. Remember, that's what improv is built for creating these kinds of cultural bridges, and the games are inherently playful and pluralistic and participatory. So I ask you, what would happen if you started your next get-together, your next class session, with an improv game? Ideas and to reveal their true selves. How would their dependence upon one another in the game foster social connections that they can use as they navigate school and community? And picture them riding that tide of engagement and empowerment into their content-related studies. How might that impact passion and creativity and make them take ownership of their learning? How could that cause a sea change? Now, consider going beyond the icebreaker, okay? What if you really took play seriously and made a commitment to game-based learning or learning through play. What then would happen to your space's culture? How would it feel? How would it function? What kind of difference would that make? If you are serious in facilitating the kind of education that inspires and changes lives, I suggest you get your silly on. Thank you.